The exact reason why I say your depth in your custom tactics simply should be determined by your ability to defend in the AFC. And the reason why I say that is because if you are confident in your defending, the higher the depth, the better. Because if you can keep your opponent on the back foot, you're going to cause him to have a negative mentality. You're going to cause him to be passive in his attack from minute one. What I mean by this is you can essentially put pressure onto your opponent and force him into a negative mentality to then give up the ball and essentially not be as much of a threat to your goal as he could be. Okay, and we're going to come out of the Premier League as a case study today. And what I mean by that is if you actually look at how Luis Bonano was defending in the final. He was 1-0 up aggregate because Tet scored a goal, and what he did was he didn't sit back and keep the lead. He was confident in his defense, and he essentially had 70 depth to his custom tactics to ensure his whole defensive line was pushed up and was putting a lot of pressure onto the opponent from minute one. He wasn't trying to keep the lead, and you'll see this in this specific scenario. His opponent didn't know where to go. He had nowhere to go, okay? He's trying to build out of his own half. Luis Bonano is there, and why it's important and why your defensive ability should determine your depth is because if you have the ability to anticipate, if you are good at switching between your defenders and keeping that defensive shape and preventing your opponent from passing around you, then high depth will help you defend against any opponent, and you can put pressure on them from minute one, causing them to have a negative mentality with their attack. And this is what Luis Bonano did. You're seeing his opponent trying to build up. He's very negative in the attack. There are passing options forward, yet he still went back. He was being careful with the possession, and that's what you want to do against your opponent. You want to force him into a state where he is too careful with his possession, because what will happen then is he won't take the passing options available to him going forward, because he will be scared to give up the ball since you are pressing him high up the pitch and you're putting him under pressure. Now, why it's important to have lower depth when it comes to your defensive ability in terms of if you're not that good at defending is because if you're not good at switching between your defenders, if you're not good at keeping that shape, as you do see if you press someone high up the pitch and you are not good at keeping that shape and anticipating, you will lose out every time. Your opponent will play around you. So it is better to have a defensive line that's more compact in its structure, and you're not giving up too many holes or gaps or spaces if you're not as confident in the defense and you AI defend a lot more. It's the exact reason why I say to people in my academy, if they're in the elite division, we're going to put pressure onto our opponent. We're not going to sit back. A lot of them would like to sit back. I don't like that style. I like the style where you're putting pressure onto your opponent and you're making him be on the back foot from minute one. But people learning to defend, that's the step-by-step process we need to go through. We need to teach them to defend before we start having higher press tactics against our opponents. And that's something I always learn on or work on with my clients in my coaching academy. So if you're good at defending, please have a higher depth in the defense to press the opponent. If you're not as good, please have it around that 50 or so depth, because that will help you learn to keep the shape and right stick switch before we move into the progressive stage of pressing someone up the pitch and anticipating them. Now, I am coaching one-on-one. You can check that out. The link is down below in my academy. Okay, you can work one-on-one with me. But I'm out. Sayonara, au revoir, adios, salam ciao.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. And lastly, if you do want any pre-gaming fuel or supplement, then head over to atpscience.com, which is the first link in the description, and use the code DylanEtsATP at checkout to get yourself a discount. Not only is it the cheapest way to get supplements, but it helps me out a ton, guys, so thank you.